We are live. You're looking at week number 2, wide right, CFB. You just heard me crack the old celebratory monster. We're heading live. So, I hope everybody's having a good week. We are live this week, believe it or not, right? Like, hey, pretty awesome. Last week we were recorded. Next week we're going to be recorded. But for this week, we are live. And who wants to meet our first guest? Or, well, they're not really our guests. Who wants to meet our next host? Our next host, he says the West Coast is the best coast. He's so cool that Snap-on named a color after him, and you can't spell SC without Jude Santa Cruz. Please welcome to the show, cool Jude Santa Cruz. What's up, man?
What's up? What's up, man? Fight on. How's everyone?
Are we on location again today?
Yeah, we're on location again, as you can hear in the background. Yeah, your mic's a little low, man.
All right, I'll try to. I'll try to yell some more. Let me see. Does that help any? All right.
Yeah. All right. Might be into a room that was loud.
Ah, there we go. All right, let me get to our next guest here. Our next host. He's the pride of Texas State. He's my favorite football player. Please welcome to the stream the man who knew too little, Hunter. What is up? Go Cats. Is that what your hat says, Cats?
Yep.
I hate the 210. I see a little rivalry brewing here. We're going to have a little rivalry talk.
It sucks.
All right. You want to bring on the fourth member of the show here. He's the beast from the East. He's the assistant to the president of the Doug Flutie fan club. Please welcome to the stage. He wasn't here last week. Lindsay Coyle.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Bocce, good to see you.
Our number one fan is here. In fact, she's our only fan.
Can't be number 2 if there's only
right?
one.
Yeah, perfect.
How are you, Bocce?
Bocce, I need your Army pick for the week. You're the official picker for Army. I am not. Man, did everybody enjoy the first week of college football?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was pretty.
It was a good weekend. Not for Florida State fans.
Hey, that's gonna come up in our winners and losers segment because somebody owes me a video of them eating dog shit out of a plastic cup with a spoon. The dog shit cup. The dog shit bowl brought to you by Red Solo Cup. That's what we should have called.
3-2-1 Noel.
3-2-1 Noel, you quitter. Florida State's never gonna win anything ever again until you eat dog shit out of a Red Solo Cup with a spoon. So, Lindsay, you must be happy. Boston College with the big W there.
I am so excited that they won.
Beast from the East, 2-0.
Did you even watch the game?
I did not.
That's why they won. So, I'm going to speak on behalf
for
of
Lindsay, and
I think Boston College?
Yeah.
BC and I appreciate that, Hunter. Thank you.
Well, I picked so somebody would have to eat dog shit out of a Red Solo Cup with a spoon. That's not a bet I would make. There's not. I don't care if I went back in time or went forward in the future and saw the future and then was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that because something bad would happen. Karma would be like, oh, really? You want to bet that? Well, enjoy your dog shit with a spoon.
Out of a Red Solo.
I mean, you just can't. Yeah, you just can't get any worse than that. Like, what idiot would do that? You know what idiot would do that?
It depends on what the dog was eating.
Oh, man, you'd hope it'd be like, oh, he got into like some chocolate or something or chili.
Chili? That sounds worse.
Maybe.
Oh my god. I don't have. I can't give you a reference because we don't have any pets. Well, we don't have any pets that I would. Yeah. So, if we need to come up with dog shit, I think
let's just move.
Pull this off.
I can tell you stories.
Let's just keep moving.
Are you okay? Hunter wants to move on. He wants to get into the business of the business. So, if we're gonna get into the business of the business, let's start with the most important part. Salute to the Service Academies. We'll start talking. We'll start with Army first. Bocce was first in here. She goes, I'm good. Army will win. I hope it will be bad if they lose to Florida. They're actually playing Florida Atlantic, and I think Florida Atlantic might be the better team between Florida and Florida Atlantic. Somebody argue with me. Anyway, no one. Okay. All right, so this is at 11 a.m. on CBS Sports Network. FAU is favored by 2.5. I'm going to lean Army, even though Army did not cover last week. They did what they needed to do to win the game. Still proven otherwise. I'm going to go Army along with Bocce. For my game of the week, we're going to talk about the University of New England versus the Coast Guard Academy. And this is at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time if you're a fan of the Coast Guard Academy. And you can only watch this game online. You cannot watch it on regular TV.
Or
Last year,
Kings Point,
the
New
Coast
York.
Guard Academy. Yeah, well, we don't live in New York. So last year, the Coast Guard Academy lost to the University of New England 44-28. But they returned a lot of veterans this year. And the Coast Guard Academy should be considerably better, which is going to be kind of fun to watch. And then something interesting, their coach is CC Grant, and he was the baseball coach at the Coast Guard Academy for like 14 years. And then he wanted to become the football coach. He went to another school for a couple of seasons, and then he came back, and he was the head football coach at the Coast Guard Academy. And if you want to know an interesting fact, his name is Coach CC Grant. He is the first African-American coach at any of the service academies. So there you go. And that's my pick for the Coast Guard Academy. All right, our next one we're going to pick is Navy Hunter. I'm going to go. Hold on. Let's see if I can pull this off without making everything look super goof. Here. Tell me about Navy. What do we got?
Well, they take on Temple, who got crushed by Oklahoma. Now, I thought that Temple did some interesting things and did show some fight. Obviously, they got just out-talented more than anything else. They did have a big fumbling problem, and if that continues into this game, I think that Navy takes control of the game, utilizing – the offense, they talked about this new look offense, and it was a lot of true triple and then some passing concepts out of the shotgun. I think Navy just rolls with that same similar attack. I think Navy wins 27-14. They're not going to be able to stop Temple from scoring. The defense just isn't quite as good as it should be. But the offense looked good. Blake Horvath seems to have pretty good command of it. And so I expect Navy to win 27-14.
All right. Hunter's giving a lot of love to Temple. I think Navy wins by a larger margin, but I'm gonna go with the expert. Hunter watches a lot of football, and I would never ever go against him. Our next one is the Merchant Marine Academy. Lindsay, are you ready?
Yeah, they're going up against WestCon, and there's not a large sample size yet because the season's brand new. I think, though, that Merchant Marines stand a chance of edging them out in a close, low-scoring game, not because the defense will be so great, but because neither offense is terribly potent right now. So I'd look for a score of maybe 17-14 in this one, but I would give the edge to the Merchant Marines.
All right. With that said, it leaves we've got the Naval Academy down. We've got the Coast Guard Academy down. We got the Merchant Marine Academy down. We got the West Point, or the U.S. Military Academy, down. It only leaves us one service academy left, and that is the one, the only, Jude Santa Cruz. Jude, what is Air Force Academy going to look like this weekend against a former Academy coach in Ken Niamatalolo, who's coaching San Jose State? What do you think?
Well, Air Force coming off of a tough game, a lot tougher than I thought it was going to be this past weekend. And they're going to go against a much more formidable opponent. So I never pick against, the service academy. So I'm going to take Air Force, but that's going to be a hot take because I think San Jose State has a very good chance of winning this game. But I'm going to take Air Force 28-27.
All right. So do you think Coach Ken's experience from the Naval Academy is going to give him an advantage coaching against Air Force with San Jose State?
it's a different type of athlete that's recruited. I mean, San Jose State's not recruiting 4 and 5 star guys, but they're still recruiting. You know, it's hard to recruit for the academy. Max. I mean, so much goes into what you need to be like. What did you call it? I can't even think of the word right now. But what is needed to get in? You know, the grades, the commitment, and everything else. You know, it plus you have to serve. What's that called when you're enlist for X amount of time, so much amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, you have a
Service
service
commitment.
agreement. Yeah,
Service commitment. That's the word I'm looking for. And so that being said, I mean, even if they're San Jose State's recruiting, 3 or 4 star guys, I think the academies get a way better student athlete or a person overall, but especially a state university, with I don't know. I don't think that's going to really matter as much. I think the fact that he coached for an academy before.
All right. With that said, well, that covers the salute to the service academies. Good luck to all the academies this weekend, and we'll look forward to the results. All right. Moving on to winners and losers. And there were some big winners this last weekend, and there were a few losers. And well, let's talk about losers. Let's bring on Hunter. No offense, son. Give me a loser from last weekend.
All right. So instead of piling on Mr. Can't keep promises, I will talk about my favorite school. So sure, they won the game, but they're in a dogfight with Lamar, who is not a good squad. Or at least they weren't last year. I mean, they didn't play in the FCS playoffs. So any team that doesn't play in the FCS playoffs and you're in a dogfight with throughout 90% of the game, not good.
All right. So since Lindsay's not here, kind of eliminates one of the next guests to talk. So Jude, give me a winner from last week.
A winner from last week? How about the mighty USC Trojans?
Mighty. Hey, you can't deny it. They went into a neutral site game with LSU, and from the sounds of the TV, there was just as many LSU fans as there was.
Yeah, the Bayou Tigers, they definitely traveled. Believe it or not, Lincoln Riley, and I think this is the reason he left Oklahoma. But he was trying to cancel this game, and LSU was like, "Nah, dude, we got a contract. We're not going to cancel the game. It's a neutral site game. We'll meet you in Vegas." So they had to play, and they came out and won. But it doesn't surprise me that he was trying to cancel this game, because I think that's the reason he left Oklahoma. He knew Oklahoma was bound to go into the SEC, and Lincoln Riley's not a traditional. His teams traditionally don't fare well against those rough and tough, trenches kind of teams. So I'm happy that he won. I was almost a little bit surprised, but
hey, I picked him. I wasn't surprised. What my bold prediction last week is I said that Jude would be a lot bigger on USC this week after he saw the defense play, and that USC would win the game. So your boy here helped you out. All right.
that's
Our
true.
next winners and losers from last weekend. Lindsay, give me a loser from last week.
Florida State.
That's like shooting fish in a barrel full of fish.
But this one was the glaringly obvious one. A team that certainly should have won against Georgia Tech lost by 3. It was a heartbreaker, and they really should have fared better. Georgia Tech showed to be the scrappy underdog in this one, which is why they're one of my teams to talk about later on, because I'm getting pretty high on them after week 1.
All right. You do realize that Florida State played Boston College last week, right?
No.
Yes. We just got done talking about the dog shit bowl.
Hold on. No, Florida State.
Week 0.
They played Boston College last week. The week before, they played.
My statistician is incorrect then.
See, you missed last week. This is.
How did I
This is
skip
why.
over a week?
Well, you weren't here.
Happens.
I was not. What the?
This is what happens when you miss practice. You know, they say practice makes perfect. I would say perfect practice makes perfect.
Well, your practice makes permanent. Wait a minute.
All right, so I'll go to winners and losers. since
Move on
Lindsay
without me.
is-
I'm now.
Well, I'm going to go with my second
Lindsay's
favorite
memory.
team. I think
Right.
somebody's memory is lost as Lindsay. I'm going to go with my second favorite team, and that'd be the University of Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish. They go into College Station, and they play a muscle version of football, and they beat down the Fighting Texas Aggies handily in the second half and come out with a 10-point victory. And my son explained to me why he was so impressed with Notre Dame. And I was kind of down. I thought Notre Dame should have scored a few more points and probably been a little bit further separation because it's the most physical Notre Dame team he's ever seen. And I'm going to have to agree with them right now. They are pretty physical. But
I
they
was
got
the
a
most
long
physical
season
team I've
ahead
ever
of them.
seen. They got 11 more games before I crowned them over that Manti Te'o team. That was a
Hey,
pretty physical
hey.
team.
Hey, look, let me exaggerate a little bit, please. Thank you.
I was pretty high on how Riley Leonard played. I thought he did exactly what was expected of him. He doesn't need to be a plus player quite yet. He just needed to not kill the team like so many Notre Dame quarterbacks have effectively done, and especially in hard-hitting games. He knew how to play, and he got the ball to who he needed to go to. He ran the offense perfectly. And then shout out to to two freshman offensive linemen holding down what was supposed to be this great A&M defensive line. And they may develop into one as the season goes, but week one, for all the talk about how good they were, they got blocked out of the game. Every pass play and every run play, they got driven into the dirt.
Well, yeah, I'll have to agree with you. All right.
I amend my earlier statement. Same loser, different game.
Same loser.
They tripped me up by playing on a Monday.
Yeah. Well,
That's what I'm going with.
all right, we're back. My internet may be on the fritz again. Somebody may have turned on the microwave at the house. I don't know. All right, winners and losers. Jude, do you have did we talk about a winner or a loser with you?
Now we talked about winners with the mighty SC Trojans.
Give me a loser from last week, Jude. Who's a loser?
Man, I'm debating between two former Pac-12 teams. I mean, Oregon struggled way more than they should have struggled. And how about UCLA squeaking out that last-second victory against the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors? I mean, both of those teams should have won by 30, and both of those teams were in dogfights. So you can take either one of those for me.
What if Hawaii's just not that bad?
Could be, but the week before Hawaii was supposed to smoke. I forget who they played, and you know, they were in a relatively, I mean, 35-7 is a blowout, but come on, they should have won 85-7.
Well,
So I don't know.
it
We'll
happens.
see. Early, it's only week two. I'm sorry, week 0, 1, 2.
Yeah. Come on, Lindsay.
Yeah.
All right, Lindsay. I'm gonna give you one more chance at this.
All right. See if I screw this up.
Give me a winner or a loser from week 1, which is actually the second week of the season in which Georgia Tech has played in both of the first 2 weeks of the season.
You can see
0
how we can
and
screw
1.
a guy up.
Yes, of course.
Right. Well, Georgia Tech did okay for themselves in week
1.
0. They did, and week 1. Week 0 and week 1. Am I making it more confusing right now?
It's not the easiest thing to keep track of, I'll be honest with you. But they've done a very admirable job so far. I think that they're going to be a team worth watching, and the way they also beat Georgia State. Yes.
You're on
Right.
the right path.
Ah, thank God that they're going to be a team worth keeping an eye on throughout the season. Be interesting to see how they continually change through the rankings. Right now, they're 23, I think. So they're top 25, and I would expect to see them do better as we go. I like the way they started. I'm very encouraged.
Good deal. All right. That's going to conclude winners and losers from this week because we are on week 0, 1, or 2, or 12 for lunch.
This could be the last season. This is the last week of the season for all I know.
Close but no cigar. Winners
Okay.
and losers. That is it. Let's get into some conference breakdown. Jude, let's start talking about the Big Ten Conference. Now, they have some big games, but we're not going to talk about the big game. We're going to save that for the end there. But let's talk about a couple of games coming up on Friday. We have Western Illinois traveling to Indiana at 6 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. Does Indiana win this game by a country mile?
Yeah, by a country mile garage. They're going to take that for sure. And I don't think they're going to be as bad as everyone thinks they're going to be.
All right, at 8 p.m., Duke travels to Northwestern for possibly the smartest group of kids on the planet playing against each other in football. 8 p.m., Fox Sports 1 from Evanston, Illinois. The over-under on this game is a starch 37.5 points, and Northwestern is favored by 2. So that means that technically we're talking about a 20-17 game, basically. Who do you got in this game, Jude?
I'm going to take Duke. I think Duke's going to win that game.
Road dogs.
Even without their old coach.
All right. Number 3, Texas travels to number 10. Oh, wait, hold on a second.
Oh, we're going to do that right now?
No, not yet. Easy there. We're going to go with Bowling Green traveling to number 8, Penn State, who beat down the Mountaineers last week of West Virginia on the Big Ten Network. This is on Saturday at 11 a.m. And Penn State's favored by 35. I think I know which way Jude's going to lean.
Yeah, I'm going to lean Penn State and give the points up because they're going to smoke them. They did a lot better than I thought against West Virginia, so go Penn State.
All right, Rhode Island's going to Minnesota at 11 a.m. on Peacock from Huntington Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota. There's no line on this because Rhode Island's like an FGS versus the FBS. I know Hunter's going to lose his mind when he hears my little acronyms there. But I'm going to prognosticate here. I'm going to say Jude's going to say Minnesota by a lot.
Definitely Minnesota by a lot. Lost the heartbreaker against North Carolina, but yeah, Minnesota by a lot.
All right, Akron's traveling to Rutgers at 11 a.m. on the Big Ten Network. Rutgers is favored by 22.5 points, and the over-under is 38.5. Akron's not got a really good chance on here. Jude, what do you think?
I think Rutgers is going to win, but take the over and also take Akron in the points because they will cover that spread.
All right. Michigan State's traveling to Maryland at 2:30 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. Maryland is a 9.5 point favorite, 44.5 points. No love for the Spartans.
Yeah, they don't deserve any love after the way they played last weekend. I mean, they squeaked out a week 1 win themselves. But take Maryland, and unfortunately, man, I like football when Michigan State plays well. But take Maryland to win and to cover their spread.
All right, Jude at 2:30 p.m. on FS1. I can't believe this game is on FS1 at 2:30 from Camp Randall. Jude's second favorite team in the world is playing South Dakota. South Dakota travels to at Wisconsin. There's no line on this because it's FCS versus FBS. Did I get that right, Hunter? Okay, so I'm going to say Wisconsin's going to win this game by more than 3 touchdowns. Would you agree on that one, Jude?
100%.
All right, here we go. We got an interdivisional matchup, interconference matchup. I don't know, conference matchup. We got number 19, Kansas, traveling to Champaign, Illinois, to take on the Fighting Illini. I don't know what they are. I don't know what the Illini is, but
I believe it's a tribe.
yeah.
It's an Indian tribe or Native American tribe. Sorry, I grew up in '80s, so I still say Indian style. I don't say crisscross applesauce.
All right, I'm not touching that one with a 20-foot pole, but I'll say this: Kansas is favored by 4.5, and the over/under is 57.5. What you got, Jude?
I like Kansas in this game.
All right. Western Michigan's traveling to at number 2 Ohio State. This is 6:30 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. Ohio State's favored by 38 points, and the over/under is 54.5. Not a lot of love for Western Michigan here, Jude. What do you got?
About the same amount of love as the experts have.
All
Ohio
right.
State and a smoker.
All right. Colorado and Nebraska. Oh, wait. Nope. Can't give it to you. I'm doing that on purpose. That's going to be in our ones to watch. So if you want to hear what I have to say about Colorado, listen to our ones to watch because I'm not going to be favorable on them. All right, Jude. This could be an interesting game because Oregon struggled last week with Idaho. Now they got to play Boise State, the other team in Idaho. 9 p.m. from Autzen Stadium in Eugene, Oregon. Oregon's favored by 21.5 with the 60.5 points. Jude, are you a believer in this Oregon team right now?
Not necessarily, but I think they get their act together a little bit. I would take Oregon probably to cover the spread.
Wow.
That over under 60.5. I'd probably go with the under.
All right. Finally, the nightcap on the Big Ten at 10 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. From Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum Stadium in beautiful Los Angeles, California. I'm guessing it's beautiful. I've never been there, but we're going to go with beautiful. The number 13 USC Trojans host Utah State. USC is a 28.5 point favorite with 63.5 points predicted in the game. Jude, what do we got?
All right. Mighty Miller Moss is going to lead the USC Trojans to another victory. We are going to hit that over, take the over because SC is going to get that. Cover the spread, absolutely. Man, we just look so fantastic against an SEC team. This Mountain West team ain't going to have any smoke against us this weekend. Utah State, and my podiatrist, he's a alumni from Utah State, so I got a little side bet with him. So this is going to be fun. I look forward to it. And I got to give him credit. He took the bet. He actually made it.
All right, Jude. That is the Big Ten, and that is cool. Jude Santa Cruz picking. All right. Y'all ready for drum roll, please? Drum roll. The mighty Sun Belt Conference in Hunter. Give me some Sun Belt love here, son.
The best belt. All right. So I think UTSA, Texas State's part of the top 7, so I won't cover that.
It is.
Troy at Memphis. Now, Troy came into the season as one of the more favorite teams to win the Sun Belt. How do they take a loss at home to Nevada, who may just be that good? But Troy lost a lot of players, and they lost their coach, so I'm not surprised that they lost. They go to Memphis, Tennessee to take on a good Memphis team who's retained their coach, retained their best players, Seth Hannigan specifically. Memphis wins. This is a game to watch because it's two good G5 teams, or traditionally good G5 teams, but I think Memphis wins this game. I don't necessarily know about them covering that minus 18.5. Marshall travels to Virginia Tech. As much as I love to see Marshall win this, I think Virginia Tech gets a good bounce back win, and I don't see them covering, but I do see them winning. Gardner Webb, James Madison hosts Gardner Webb. Gardner Webb is a North Carolina-based FCS program who has been decent the last couple of years, but I don't think anything good happens to them in this game. James Madison wins that one. East Carolina, Old Dominion. This is another G5 matchup with the AAC. Old Dominion plays host to East Carolina at 5 p.m. East Carolina came off a win. Old Dominion really battled South Carolina down to the wire, I thought. I like Old Dominion to win this game. It's even money on the money line for ECU, and it's Old Dominion minus 1.5. I think Old Dominion wins by at least a touchdown, probably in a 28, 21, 35, 28 type of game. South Alabama against Ohio. These are two teams who were, on paper, supposed to be good this season. That has not turned out to be the case. However, it's in Ohio, so I think that the Bobcats there take the win, even if I do want to see South Alabama win. William & Mary, Coastal Carolina. William & Mary is a good FCS team. They've been good for a couple years now. However, Coastal Carolina, they smashed Jacksonville State. That was actually a team that really should have been mentioned as a losers, Jacksonville State. Coastal Carolina looked phenomenal in that game. I don't think that changes this week. I think they take it to William & Mary. Chattanooga, Georgia State. Chattanooga comes off of a loss to Tennessee. Georgia State comes off of a loss to Georgia Tech. However, Georgia State's just the overall better team, should win this game. But I wouldn't be surprised if Chattanooga does get that FCS over FBS win because they are a good FCS squad. Louisiana travels to Kennesaw, Georgia, take on Kennesaw State. I like Louisiana to win this game. I like them to win by 2 touchdowns to cover that minus 13.5 spread. Georgia Southern, Nevada could be a good game. Georgia Southern did battle Boise State. However, they just can't stop the run. Nevada can run the ball. And I think that just comes back to haunt them again. It's in Reno. I think Nevada takes this one. They run the ball a lot, and they just they put the game away. Tulsa and Arkansas State, these are two teams who stink. Arkansas State should have lost last week. The Sun Belt referees actually came back and said they made the wrong call. They did not score that touchdown. If I'm the NCAA, I look at that and say, well, that did end the game. That's not a touchdown. We're taking the win away. Arkansas State lost to Central Arkansas, and they should believe that, and they should know that. I think Tulsa comes out, and they're not very good either, but I think they do get the win over Arkansas State, who should be marked 0-1 right now. UAB at UO Monroe. UO Monroe looked phenomenal in a weird type of way. They looked significant. I just shouldn't say they looked phenomenal if you compare them to last year's team, because that team was terrible. UAB had some issues, but they played well enough to get a win. I think UAB comes in here into Monroe and gets a win. I don't see them covering minus 13. I think UO Monroe is too good to let that happen. Southeast Louisiana takes on Southern Miss. Southern Miss needs a bounce back win in a big way after getting beat by Kentucky in the middle of the night. So I like them to win that game. App State at Clemson, is that part of our top 7?
No, it is not.
Perfect. App State will march into the fake Death Valley in South Carolina and beat the Clemson Tigers.
All right, that's going to wrap up the Sun Belt there. Hunter with some bold proclamations. Bold proclamations. All right, let's move on to the next conference, and maybe he knows what's going on. Maybe he doesn't. Lindsey Coyle. Oh, I was trying to put you on a solo layout. I didn't realize that I had to do the actual work itself. All right, Lindsey, I'm going to go through these games with you, and we're going to help Pony along here. We're going to start with the first one, the Soakers at the Ponies. I mean, BYU versus SMU. That's tomorrow night from Gerald J. Ford Stadium in Dallas, Texas. Over-under on this game is 55.5 points. A lot of fives, try-fives there, and SMU is favored by 11.5 over the Soakers. What do you got, Lindsey?
It may be a little bit closer than what that line is providing. I will still go with SMU for the win, but I don't think they're going to win by nearly that much. I'd give them maybe a 7-point favorite on this one. Over-under, I'm going to take the under.
All right. So we're 8 p.m. on Fox Sports 1. Jude already picked this game. He's saying that Duke is going to go into Northwestern and beat Northwestern. Are you going to agree with Jude, or are you going to go out on your own and say, no, Northwestern is going to win this game?
I do think Northwestern will win this game. It's going to be a tight one. And the line on this one is Northwestern by 2, but I will give it to them by a touchdown. And I'm going to take over on the over-under, which is 37.5.
The only thing I'm taking over on this one is GPA. Everybody's got over on the GPA at these schools. All right, we're going to creep into Saturday, and we got, they're playing their third game of the season, and they're ranked. Number 23, Georgia Tech, is traveling to Syracuse to take on the Orange at 11 a.m. on the ACC network from JMA Wireless Dome in Syracuse, New York. There's a lot of points in this game, 60.5, and Georgia Tech's favored by 3.
This is not the week to bet against Georgia Tech by any stretch. They've shown that they're too good coming out of the blocks. I would take the over, but I'm going to give Georgia Tech a little bit more on the point spread on this one. I'm saying they win by a touchdown, maybe even 10 points. I think they have a potent enough offense to do it against Syracuse, which is a little more anemic in the defense. So I don't think Syracuse has what it takes to stop Georgia Tech. And I think the line on the spread on this is a little more conservative than I would go with.
All right, at 11 a.m. on the Deuce, that's ESPN 2. Pittsburgh is playing Cincinnati. Cincinnati's favored by 1.5, 62.5 points. A lot of points in this game for two, maybe not good, great teams. Good, great, good. I don't know. What do you got?
Well, when you look at two teams like this who are maybe not great compared to their competition, together this might be a very exciting game because I do think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and I like to see that. Sometimes it's just fun to see a shootout, and it's such a closely anticipated final score of only 1.5 point spread. I'm going to take the I'm going to take the under, but I'm going to say Cincinnati will win maybe by 3 points. So it should be a lot of fun. Look for this one to go down to the wire.
All right. And the biggest disappointment from week 1, Jacksonville State lost to Coastal Carolina. They actually got pushed around. I'd agree with Hunter on that one. They are traveling to number 22 Louisville at 2:30 p.m. on ESPN Plus to take on the Cardinals. Louisville is favored by 27.5 points. Does Rich Rod's team have anything for Louisville, or is this blowout city?
No, it's blowout city. The Jacksonville State is going to disappoint again. They are going to lose handily. This one will be over just after it begins. Look for Louisville to start running away with this late in the first quarter and never look back. I think Louisville will probably do even better than the 27.5 points that they're favored by, and I'll take the over, which is 56.5.
All right.
Hey,
at
sleep in Jacksonville State, man. I bet you that score will still be tied at kickoff.
At 2:30 p.m. on ESPN2, The Deuce, Cal makes their part of their worldly travel and travels to Auburn, Alabama to take on the Auburn Tigers. Auburn's favored by 13. 53.5 points is what Vegas says it's going to take to play this game. Does Cal show up jet lagged?
No, they don't.
They say it's easier to go west than the east-west.
No, this is going to be my bold prediction. I think California is going to upset Auburn on this one, and I will look for them to win by a little bit. 3 points I'm going to give them on this one, and I will take the over on the over-under. I think they're going to come out swinging, and they're not going to let up. I like California in this one.
Go
Okay,
Bear.
I'm going to pick this one for you. Duquesne is playing at Boston College. I think Boston College wins this game by a country mile.
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
The Battle of North Carolina, Oily Charlotte. And we have the Charlotte 49ers traveling to the University of North Carolina Tar Heels at 2:30 p.m. on the ACC Network. North Carolina is favored by 22.5 with 47.5 points to take to play the game. I think North Carolina wins this one by a wide margin. Lindsay, what is your thought on this game?
I think the margin is going to be even wider than what the betting line says at 22.5. I look for them to win, I don't know, maybe even by 28. And I will take the over because North Carolina has a far more potent offense, and their defense is stout enough. It's going to keep Charlotte at bay.
Hey, what is it?
Somebody from North Carolina.
It comes from the Revolutionary War. They had to march through tar field, there's tar fields, or at least there were back then, and so they had to take their boots off and then march through a tar field, and so they had tar heels.
Okay.
All right.
But they're not tar toes.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're walking on their heels. Oh.
Doesn't play as well when they were Tarto.
Tarto. I think somebody's called me that a time or two in the past. All right, at 3:30 p.m. on the CW Network, home of the Xfinity Series in 2025. And if you want to talk NASCAR, you can catch me and Jude on our wrestling stream. No, I'm kidding. I'm just making it up. Jude was like, "We're doing the wrestling stream." I'm like, if you catch us on a random Saturday night, we'll talk about booger pickers. So, all right, Marshall's going to Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's favored by 20.5, 52.5 point over under. What you got, Lindsay?
Yeah, I think that Marshall's going to lose, but I don't think they can lose by that much. I'm interested to see what they do. They might be one of the sleeper teams this year. So I think although they lose, I'm going to say that Virginia Tech will win only by 10.5. I'll say 10.5, and I'll take the under, which is at 52.5.
All right. That's it at 5 p.m. on ESPN Plus. The number 12 Miami Hurricanes host the Rattlers from Florida A&M University. And I know Hunter is a big HBCU guy, and he used to like the Rattlers, except for one big problem in their coach left to go be a running back coach at Duke. Lindsay, does Miami win this game by more than they beat the University of Florida last week?
Oh God, I wouldn't be surprised if this was the most lopsided game of the week. These two teams are one of these teams where it's not going to be fun to watch. It's just going to be kind of a cringe fest from start to finish because it's going to be all Miami all the way. I wouldn't be surprised if they won by at least 4 touchdowns, maybe 5. I don't know what Florida A&M could possibly get on the score in this one, but it's not going to be much. Keep it in the single digits.
All right. At 6 p.m. on ESPN Plus, Stanford, the Cardinal, host those smart people from Cal Poly. I don't even know what Cal Poly's mascot is.
Think they're the Mustangs.
Mustangs. All right.
The slide rules.
the slide rules. The smart kids, I couldn't get into either one of these schools, not even with a bus ticket. So I'm gonna say Stanford. I'm gonna say Stanford wins this game. Lindsay, what do you think?
Yeah, Stanford will win this game. There's no doubt about that. This is going to be another laugher. I don't know that they're going to see quite the point spread that I'm predicting the Miami Florida A&M game, but it'll be all Stanford all the way on this one. It's going to be a high scoring affair on one side only. Cal Poly's going to stumble out of the blocks.
How this game didn't make our top 7, I don't know.
I don't know.
You know, Cal Poly.
You can catch it on ESPN Plus, so they're airing it.
There you go. If you want to spend the $12 a month to watch Cal Poly lose 27-7 to Stanford, go right ahead.
Hey, right, which Cal Poly is it?
There's more than one?
Yeah, Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, Cal Poly, Pomona, there's a ton of them.
Dude, I think it's Pomona.
Jude,
Pomona?
you're muddling the water here, Jude. Please. Not even people that go to Cal Poly know there's another Cal Poly. Come on. Well, they probably do.
This is an intellectual exercise only. It really has no bearing on this game.
No, it's Cal Poly SLO. They are the Mustangs. I did look it up.
All right. Lindsay, at 6 p.m. on ESPN2, we got the Cavaliers from Virginia, another smart school, traveling to Wake Forest, another smart school. None of these places I could get into. I couldn't even get in with a bus pass. You know what I mean? They wouldn't even hire me to mop the floor.
You might be able to buy a meal at the cafeteria.
I don't know. I'd have to buy probably everybody a meal at the cafeteria. That'd be the only way. Oh, you'd like to donate some of your money for lunch? Okay.
Chocolate milks all around.
All right. Wake Forest is favored by 55.5 points. What are we talking here?
Yeah, I think that I'm a little more bullish on Wake Forest than the betting line shows. I like Wake Forest to win with a greater margin. I'll put them at 10, and the over-under is 55.5. I'll take the under, though. I think it's going to be a very close game, but not as close as the line would have us believe. I like Wake Forest in this one to pull away late in the game and come out with the win.
All right, so Hunter picked this game earlier, but you get to be the opposition if you want. At 7 p.m. on the ACC network, the number 25 Clemson Tigers host the App State Mountaineers. Is Hunter right, or is Clemson going to win this game?
I don't know how you bet against Clemson on this one, to be honest with you. I like their program too much. I like what they're bringing to the table this year too much to vote against them. I think 16.5 points is about right on, and the over-under is 52.5. I'll take a slight over on this one. I think that it's going to be a good high-scoring game, but ultimately I like Clemson to win handling on this one in the end.
I like Clemson too.
That it's going to wrap up the ACC and Jude. Everybody likes Clemson except for Hunter. Hunter's going to App State on this one, so you got to watch out. All right, we're going to travel over to the Conference of Champions, the Champions Conference. That's Conference USA, and we're going to start off with the first game of the weekend at 2:30 p.m. on ESPN Plus. That's the Jayville State Gamecocks, Jacksonville State. That is for all of you. Facing the number 22 Louisville Cardinals. Jacksonville State is a 25.5 point dog. I'm going to go with Louisville to win the game, but Jacksonville State's going to cover. Take the under. Louisville cover. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to take the under. Louisville covers. Our second game of the day at 3:15 on the SEC Network. Jude's third favorite team, the number 6 Ole Miss Rebels, host the Middle Tennessee State Blue Raiders. I hope I'm correct on that one. Ole Miss is a 42-point favorite. I would say take the over. I'm going to say Ole Miss covers. 62.5 points. Big win by Ole Miss. I think they're going to try to get Jackson Dart in the Heisman talk, more so than he is already, and look for a monster game. All right, our third game of the week. The Central Michigan, whatever they are, Chippewas? Chippewas. Go to Pitbull Stadium in Miami, Florida. I don't know how many teams play in Miami. I don't even know if they have room for all these stadiums. But Pitbull is the title name on this stadium. And that is for the FIU, whatever they are. I'm at a loss right now because I'm building this game up. Central Michigan's favored by 4 in this game. 51.5 points. I say wrong team favored. FIU wins. Take the under. tip your waitress on your way out. And my fourth game, and this almost made the top 7 because I think this game right here is going to be outstanding game. That is the Sam Houston State Bearcats are traveling to take on the Golden Knights or the Citronauts, whatever team you're talking about, from UCF at 5:30 p.m. on ESPN. This is happening in Orlando, Florida. UCF is favored by 24, 58.5 points. I would say take the over. Sam Houston State's going to cover. UCF's going to squeak out the win. But I'm going to tell you this right now. Bold proclamation, but it's not my official bold proclamation. Sam Houston State's going to surprise a lot of people this weekend and push a really good team really far. UCF's going to win this game, but Sam Houston State's definitely going to cover. And the Battle of Kentucky. Eastern Kentucky travels to Western Kentucky, where they're going to do Kentucky things at 6 p.m. on ESPN+. Western Kentucky's going to win this game by a bajillion points. No sense in going over that. At our number 6 game of the week, those Raging Cajuns from Louisiana travel to Kennesaw State in Georgia, and they play at Fifth Third Bank Stadium in Kennesaw, Georgia, at 6 p.m. on ESPN+. Louisiana's favored by 16.5. Kennesaw State's going to show a dominant running game. They're going to come up a little bit short. Louisiana's going to win the game. Take the over, and Kennesaw State's going to cover. They are not going to get beat by more than 16.5 points. Our 7th game is Southern Utah, UTEP. And if you can tell me where Southern Utah is, I'll give you a pat on the back.
Is it not in the southern part
Orem, Utah?
Orem, Utah. There you go. Thanks for that. I'll give you a pat on the back.
I was going to say the lower half of Utah.
The lower half of Utah. I think Jude's geographically most correct.
That if Utah wore clothes, it would be in the underpants.
In the
Cedar
underpants.
City is where it's at.
Cedar City. And if you know anybody from Cedar City, Utah, tell them that UTEP is going to kick the shit out of Southern Utah this week. I'm going to take UTEP to get their first or second win this season. I don't know. Who knows? All right, in my final game, those Flames from Liberty take on New Mexico State, the other Aggies, at 9:15 p.m. on ESPN2. And I'll tell you this, New Mexico State is missing their best piece, and their best pieces are at Vanderbilt. And if you watched the Vanderbilt and Vatek game last week, you will know what I'm talking about. And that is their former head coach, Jerry Hill, who is a special assistant on Vanderbilt to Clark Lee, and Diego Pavia. That was a heck of a good game. New Mexico State is missing these guys. Liberty wins this game by more than 20.5 points, and they beat the over-under on their own. Liberty monster game. And everybody, that is the Conference of Champions, Conference USA. Send it home. All right. Yay. What? Am I getting too excited about college football?
That was a rousing round of applause afterwards that I liked.
Yeah, I honestly don't think that's possible, at least in my book.
Here I go.
To be too excited for college football.
Thank you.
There it is.
Thank you. All right, Jude. Let's talk about me finding the other conference that you cover, and that would be the Mountain West Conference. I know you're excited about this, and let's talk about. I don't even know who this first game is. Utah Tech. That's how awesome they are. The Trailblazers from Utah Tech take on UNLV at 2 p.m. from the NFL Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. What do we got on this one? There's Utah Tech doesn't stand a chance against UNLV, Jude.
No, they don't. UNLV will clobber them. Probably cover whatever the spread is. If there's a spread, is there a spread?
No, because it's a community college versus a.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So yeah, they'll cover 'em.
FBS team. Yeah. All right. In their second game on True TV, Idaho travels to take on Wyoming. Wyoming did not look good last week. Does Idaho have a chance to right the wrong from last week and win this game?
I think Idaho's going to play them a lot tougher than what people think. I'm not going to take them to win the game, but look for it to be a fourth quarter, barn burner, and I'll take Wyoming.
All right. We already talked about San Jose State and Air Force. So now we're going to talk about the Northern Colorado Bears traveling to take on the Colorado State Rams, who got pretty well de-pieced against Texas last week, but they seem like they're pretty healthy. They're playing in Fort Collins. What do you got on this one, Jude?
Colorado State, I should say, is going to handle business this weekend.
All right, at 6 p.m. on True TV, the Wolfpack from Nevada hosts the Georgia Southern. Too many damn Georgia teams. The Eagles. I'm saying this game right here is going to be a really good game. Now, Georgia State is only a dog by 1 point in this game to Nevada. 58.5 points. What do you think, Jude?
Great game. Take Nevada. And obviously, when it's a 1 point spread, you got to take them to cover, right? Because you got to win by at least 1 point.
Yeah. All right. You've already picked the Boise State-Oregon game. Isn't that funny how that worked out? You have a Mountain West and a Big Ten team, and you don't even have to cover the game.
Twice.
All right. Now, Joey Preciado's out here, and he's going to be the contrarian on this one. But Sacramento State is traveling to Fresno to take on those Bulldogs from Fresno State at 9 p.m. No TV on this game, no line, because it is, I don't know why.
Sacramento State didn't look half bad last week against San Jose State. I know they got doubled up or something like that, 42-24 or something like that. But that was a game that I actually kind of was clicking on the score online. I was pretty, because it's Joey. Why not?
Yeah.
Joey's my boy. But
maybe we get a live or maybe we get a fill-in next week from Joey Preciado says there's no TD on this one.
Okay, well, I'll hit him.
Yeah. All right. And then the final Mountain West game. Well, there's another Mountain West game, but you've already picked Utah State and USC. Another final Mountain West game. We got the Pac-2, either winner or runner-up here. Oregon State traveling to San Diego to take on the San Diego State Aztecs at 9:30 p.m. on CBS Sports Network. From Snapdragon Stadium, Oregon State is a 6-point favorite. 54.5 points, what Vegas is going to say they're going to have to play the game.
Go Beavers.
Does Oregon State win by more than 6 points?
Yes, they do. Go Beavers.
Go Beavers. And that's going to wrap up the Mountain West Conference, and our Mountain West expert, Cool Jude Santa Cruz, has done it once again.
Well done.
All right, we're going to move on to the Conference of Champions. We're not talking about the SEC. We're talking about the AAC and Lindsey Coyle. Lindsey, I know you call this the American Conference, but everybody else calls it the AAC. And on Saturday at 11 a.m., we have Kansas taking on Tulane from New Orleans, Yulman Stadium. Kansas State is a 9-point favorite. 47.5 points to play the game. Does Kansas State crush Tulane and whoever Tulane's new coach is?
Yeah, Kansas State, I don't even think they're given the credit that they're due. I think that a 9-point win for them on this one is going to be a little too low. I'd look for them to win by 12 or 15 even and take the over of the 47.5 over-under.
All right. 11 a.m. on ESPNU, the college channel. You have the Troy Trojans traveling to Memphis to take on the Memphis Tigers. I think Memphis wins this game by well more than 18.5 points. What do you think, Lindsey?
I think that any team that plays Troy is going to beat them because Troy has the worst logo in all of college football.
Jude's the Trojan guy.
It looks terrible. It looks dirty. We should just
I like their name. I don't like their color scheme.
All right, Lindsey.
There's nothing I like about them. They're not going to win.
On CBS Sports Network, Bocce's already said Army is beating FAU.
She might be
right. Are you going
right.
to play the contrarian here, Lindsey?
I am, normally I would, but this game is going to be close no matter what. I don't mind giving Army an upset on this one. And so they could actually win by 3. The over-under is 42.5. It's going to be a low-scoring game, so I'm going to take the under, but I'll give Army the win.
All right, this is another one of these games you already picked, Lindsey, because you had the AAC versus the ACC, and you've already chosen the University of North Carolina Tar Heels.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about it. All right, so we're going to move on to at 2:30 p.m. on CBS Sports Network. The Temple Owls travel to take on the midshipmen from Navy. Are you going to pick opposed to Hunter? Are you going to say Temple stands any chance against Navy, or does Navy steam through the competition?
No, Navy's all the way on this one. The line has them winning by 13. I'll stay with that. And I think that I like where the over-under is at 44.5. Navy just has the advantage in every aspect of the game on this one. Look for them to take this game firmly by the horns after halftime. And I think the third and fourth quarter is going to be all Navy.
All right. We're going to cover UTSA and Texas State in our ones to watch. That'll be our top 7 games of the week. Now we're going to move on to a game of the week. ECU at Old Dominion on ESPN+. Old Dominion is a 1.5 point favorite, 54.5 points. I think the home team might have a chance. What do you think?
Old Dominion has to do everything right in order to win by even 1.5 on this one. And I don't see perfection for them this early in the season. I'm going to go with East Carolina for the upset. I'll take it to win by a touchdown, and I'll take the under of the over-under, which is 54.5.
All right, this next game, I'm getting a little cold feet on because I told Jude that they may have a chance, and right now I don't think they have an Eskimos chance in hell. But anyways, the USF Bulls travel to number 4, Alabama at 6 p.m. on ESPN. Alabama's favored by 31 points with 63.5 points total. But I don't think Alabama's going to win. Or I think Alabama's going to win this game by a ton. I don't think USF has a chance. But, Lindsay, tell me what you think.
So I'm not picking this as my upset of the week. I am going to go with Alabama on this one. I do believe that they are so good, and South Florida has such a long way to go to even play in the same strata as Alabama, that the line is being very conservative for this. I'd look for Alabama to win by an even wider margin than the 31 points they're favored by, and I'll take the over of the 63.5. I wouldn't be surprised to see Florida stay in the single digits. Alabama's going to walk away with this one from the kickoff.
I said that South Florida would beat Alabama, and I was wrong. I apologize. I'm going to have to stick with my pick here no matter what. And Jude's going to rub my face and probably dog shit on the ground.
Oh,
So I'm just going to have
cool.
to live with that. Yeah, but I earned it, right? So there you go. All right. And Hunter says Tulsa's going to travel to Arkansas State and beat Arkansas at Centennial Bank Stadium in Jonesboro, Arkansas by 7. Arkansas State's favored by 7.5. 65.5 points of what Vegas says is going to take to play this. Do you agree with Hunter, or do you think that Arkansas State's going to get another referee-assisted win?
Hey, you need all the help you can get. I wouldn't be surprised if the refs are on Arkansas State's side on this one. I would look for them to win. They're favored by 7.5. It's going to be a close game no matter who wins, but I will give the edge to Arkansas State. I'll say they'll win by 7, and I'll take the under of 65.5 points.
All right. Those UAB Blazers travel to the University of Louisiana Monroe to take on the Warhawks. From Malone Stadium in Monroe, Louisiana, UAB is favored by 13. Vegas says it's going to take 54.5 points to play this game. Where are you leaning on this one, Lindsay?
It'll take at least 54.5 to win this one, so I'm going to take the over. And I think UL Monroe is going to give it they've got more of a fighting chance, I think, than what Vegas thinks on this one. So while I would give the win to UAB, I'm going to say that UL Monroe is going to keep it much closer than this, and I'll give UAB the win by 3.
All right. General Booty and those Warhawks are going to shock America. All right, Lindsay. This is another one of those Division 3 versus Division 1 matchups here. Hunter, I'm kidding. All right. Texas Southern travels to take on Rice at 6 p.m. Rice is going to win this game by 1,000 points.
No doubt about it.
And then also at 6:30 p.m. on ESPN Plus, the Lumberjacks from SFA are going to travel to North Texas. I think North Texas is a quietly really good team. I think Hunter thinks that North Texas is a quietly really good team, and I think that SFA is going to take a brutal beating. Lindsay, what are your thoughts on
North Texas is a good team compared to SFA. I don't know about the rest of the league, but they're certainly going to have their way with them this week. I will give my own line to favor North Texas by 21 and say the over-under is going to be like 54.5.
Hunter, does North Texas need to fear the axe this weekend?
No, but I mean, don't be like Texas Tech and overlook your lowly, random area Texas FCS opponent.
Hey, look, add insult to injury, ACU team bus got hit by a drunk driver on the way out of Jones Stadium in Lubbock, Texas. Insult to injury. Insult to injury. And that is going to wrap up the American Conference, as we like to call it, the AAC. Lindsay.
Can I get a quick second?
Yeah, go for it, Jude.
I know I've probably mentioned this in season 1 and season 2, but I like to mention it because we keep talking about Division 1 versus Division 2, and you know how there's no line. You know, in Division 1 football, there are only 3 teams that have never played a Division 2 or lower foe, and those are USC, UCLA, and Notre Dame. I like to say that we like to play Division 1 teams.
There you go. I don't know when the last time Texas has played a Division II opponent, but it has been a minute.
Well, they never played Division II opponent. Have they played FCS
FCS.
opponents?
Yeah. But it's been a minute since they played an FCS opponent.
And I'll probably say that again sometime next year.
Hey, there we go. If that means we're going to have a season 4, all right? So there you go. Bold proclamation by Jude Santa Cruz. And then finally, we're going to wrap it up with the Big 12, and I'll just blow through these. We've already talked about BYU, SMU. I'm taking SMU. Number 17, K-State's traveling to Tulane. I say that the Wildcats are going to beat Tulane by a larger margin than 9 points. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. I'm going to go with Cincinnati on this one. I don't think the Pittsburgh coach or the team are going to survive the weekend. I think Cincinnati wins by 7 and not the 1 point or 1.5 points. Baylor is going up against their first true test against a fellow Big 12 opponent in a non-conference game. That's right, because they scheduled the game before they were conference opponents. Utah is going to win this game by at least 14.5 points. I'll say Utah covers. Take the over. Baylor will not win this game. Utah's going to win by a wide margin. West Virginia is going to pony up. They're going to play the University of Albany, or if you look at it, it is U-Albany. There's no competition here. West Virginia is going to get back on the winning ways, and they're going to crush Albany. And in a game that probably could have made the top 7, number 19, Kansas travels to Illinois to take on the Illini. Kansas favored by 4.5. I'm going to take Kansas in the over. So we'll lean there. And then it's good to see TCU's playing Long Island University. Good for Long Island University for getting a paycheck. I think that Long Island is going to get mercy ruled. Oh, Hunter reminded me that we forgot about the SEC. Who would have forgot about the SEC? Who would have forgot about it? So we'll go with that. Houston is going to get blown out by OU, and this could have made the game of the week. I think Houston might be one of the worst teams in the football bowl subdivision. I'm going to say Oklahoma covers the 28 points, and I say Oklahoma gets the over-under on their own, and that is 49.5 points. And if you want to watch possibly the most receiving yards in America this weekend, you got to check out the Northern Arizona versus Arizona game. Arizona's ranked 20th in the nation. They have a quarterback named Hunter. What is his name?
Noah Fafita.
Noah Fafita, who's probably going to be a Heisman Trophy candidate by the end of next week, or by the end of this week. And he's going to be throwing passes to a guy named Tetaroa McMillan. The guy's got an awesome name. We're going to go with him. And I'll say Tetaroa McMillan has at least 200 yards of receiving this week against Northern Arizona. And then finally, in this game is in our top 7, so we're not going to talk about it, and that would be Texas Tech and Washington State. And I got a reason why. And we're going to get to that here in just a minute. But first, we're going to hear what Hunter has to say about that Southeastern Conference. Is that what we're talking about?
They got the most dominant team in the country right now.
Have they done anything? Southeastern Conference?
All right, well,
I think we're mentioning.
Are we saying Vanderbilt's the most dominant team in the country?
So obviously we have Texas and Michigan's in our top 7. Arkansas, Oklahoma State's in our top 7. Now, for some reason, the mighty Cowboys of Appalachian State and the Fighting Texas Aggies are not in the top 7. I don't know how that could be left out. A&M wins that game, get themselves a bounce-back win, and right back in the hype train for all the Fighting Texas Aggie fans. Tennessee Tech travels to Athens, Georgia for their paid-for beatdown. California and Auburn. I have to agree with Lindsay a bit. I think not fully. I don't think that California wins, but I do think they keep this game relatively close. Jay Knott's a great running back. I think Auburn has some struggles to stop the run, but I do think that at the end of the day, Auburn has Cam Coleman and Peyton Thorne gets it figured out, and they get themselves a win over California. Big game here, South Carolina, Kentucky. First SEC on SEC matchup of the season. Kentucky's favored by -8.5 because everyone watched South Carolina almost lose to Old Dominion. I think Kentucky gets it done, with their new old coach who left and then got forced to come back. So
He got rehired. He quit and he got rehired.
I don't know that's how that works, but he did win. They will win. I like them to cover that -8.5. I think they win by 10. Middle Tennessee State Blue Raiders do take on Ole Miss, who will put up about 8,000 million points. And that's all you need to know about that game. South Florida travels to Alabama. During the season, I could have said, man, I think South Florida can win or can maybe win. I watched Alabama play Western Kentucky. South Florida looked good. Don't get me wrong. I watched Alabama play Western Kentucky. I think Alabama wins. This -31. Maybe South Florida can cover that. I think that they could probably pull off that. But, man, them beating Alabama, not happening. Not in Bryant-Denny Stadium. Buffalo travels to Columbia, Missouri. The Bulls are going to run the ball. It won't matter. The Missouri Tigers will win that game. They'll cover this -34.5, and we'll all be the worse for it. Sanford travels to Florida. Florida will be starting DJ Lagway Jr., highly touted 5-star recruit quarterback, #1 quarterback in the country, depending on which recruiting service you were looking at last year. In place of Graham Mertz, who unfortunately suffered a concussion. Hopefully he's able to come back quickly. We like to see healthy football players play football. Sanford won't win this game. Florida does get themselves a win, but that's about as good as it's going to get. Tennessee and NC State's part of our games of the week. Nichols State at LSU. As much as I want to cheer for the Colonels, the Tigers are going to win this one. Alcorn State at Vanderbilt. The Braves will be brave enough to lose to the Commodores. Houston, Oklahoma. I agree with you. Oklahoma's going to smash Houston. You don't lose to UNLV like Houston did and then get any right to say, oh, we'll compete. Show us at this point. And then a game I think that everyone should keep their eye on because it could have a lot of points. Mississippi State and Arizona State. The over-under on this is 58.5, which is, if you're a betting man, I would say that's free money. These teams are going to score a lot of points. I think that Mississippi State will fall to the Arizona State Sun Devils. I think Arizona State just does a little bit more put together, but I would not be shocked at all if Mississippi State wins this game. But I do like Arizona win by 3 in a matchup of a 48-45 scoreline.
And that is the Southeastern Conference. All right. Who wants to talk about some let's talk about some ones to watch. Ones to watch. And we're going to start with the #1, Jude Santa Cruz. Ones to watch here. Jude, we'll go through this. We'll start at the #7 game of the week, and that's the Razorbacks from Arkansas traveling to #17 Oklahoma State at 11 a.m. Oak State is favored by 9.5. What you got on this one, Jude?
I like Arkansas. I think they're up and coming, but they're not going to take out Oak State. I'll take the Cowboys to win this game.
All right, and our #6 game of the week, the Texas Tech Red Raiders travel to that other Pac-2 team to take on the Washington State Cougars at 9 p.m. on Fox. As I like to call this, the part of the Mike Leach Bowl. What you got on this one, Jude?
And rest in peace, Mike Leach. Man, that was a horrible loss, but I'm going to take Washington State.
All right. Our #5 game of the week, Colorado travels to Lincoln, Nebraska to take on the Cornhuskers at 6:30 p.m. on NBC. This is a marquee game for Colorado. They should enjoy it. Jude, what do you think happens in this game?
Man, as much as I'd like to see Doug Schmidt's team get a dub, I'm going to have to go with Coach Prime. Shedeur Sanders is probably going to throw 40 passes, 25 of them are going to go to Travis Hunter, and they'll win the game.
All right. And our number 4 game of the week. Those pesky Roadrunners from UTSA travel up the road to the Battle of I-35 to Texas State in San Marcos, Texas, to take on the Bobcats at 3 p.m. on ESPNU. The Bobcats are favored by a point. What do you think happens in this game, Jude?
Man, I can't go against one of our panelists' alma mater, man. Let's go Cats.
All right. And the only reason this game's not number 2 is because it's a rivalry game, has to be in the top 2 no matter what. Number 15, Tennessee, travels to North Carolina to take on the NC State Wolfpack. The number 24 NC State Wolfpack. Tennessee's favored by 7 points, and this is on ABC at 6:30 p.m. Does Tennessee have the firepower to take down the Wolfpack?
Yes, they do. Tennessee's going to win this game, and I'm actually excited to watch this game. If, like I said, I don't know if I said this yet, but there's a slight chance that I might be at the Coliseum this weekend.
Oh. Well, we'll
Boots
have
on the ground.
Boots on the ground. We'll have to get some live reporting from Jude Santa Cruz. All right. Our number 2 game of the week is a rivalry game, and some people call it El Assico, and some people call it Cyhawk. And that is Iowa State's traveling to Iowa at 2:30 p.m. on CBS. Iowa is favored by 2.5 points. Does Iowa score more than 2.5 points to beat the Iowa State Cyclones, or is this going to be a typical El Assico game where it's a 6-3 matchup?
A little more than 6-3. I'm looking at 12-10, but I'm gonna go ahead and take the Hawkeyes.
All right. In our number 1 game of the week, the number 4 Texas Longhorns, well, they're number 3 now, travel to number 10 Michigan to take on the Wolverines at 11 a.m. on Fox. Texas is favored by 7 points. Do the Longhorns have anything for the Wolverines and Connor Stallion's former team? Or are they or is Michigan going down at home?
I'm interested in what's going to happen in this game. And Texas, the firepower they have, they almost look invincible. They are traveling, right? It's in Ann Arbor, if I'm correct.
Yep.
And Michigan, man, they lost their coach, they lost their quarterback. I believe they lost their running back.
I think their director of advanced scouting also.
Their ranking is based off of past accomplishments, nothing this team itself has done. So I'd like to see if Texas can just go in there and smash, and that's what I'm expecting. But Michigan has a chance to prove themselves, but I'll take Texas to cover.
All right. That is Jude Santa Cruz and the ones to watch. Now, we're going to move on to our second favorite panelist who's paying attention right now. Lindsay Coyle. All right, Lindsay, let's run through it. Well, let's talk about our number 7 game, Arkansas at number 17, Oak State. Who you got?
It's got to be Oklahoma State on this one. They're already favored going in. The over/under is kind of high on this one, though. It's going to take at least 62 points to win this game. I like Oklahoma State to do that. It's going to be tough for Arkansas to keep up. And I think they'll hang in there probably through the first or second quarter. But after that, once halftime hits, adjustments will be made to favor Oklahoma State. They're going to walk away with this one more than their 7.5 point spread. I look for them to win by 14.
All right. Our number 6 game, Texas Tech at Washington State. The battle of the Mike Leach former coach teams. Does Texas Tech pull this off, or does Washington State win this game?
Texas Tech could pull this off. It might be a nice little upset for them. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see them have a stouter defense that's going to keep Washington State down. And although right now Washington State's favored by 2.5, it's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm going to take the under, though, of 65.5, but not by much. And I think Texas Tech can win by a touchdown.
All right, and the Big 8 matchup, the former Big 8 matchup, Colorado travels to Nebraska at 6:30 p.m. on ESPN or on NBC. Does Colorado have enough firepower to beat Nebraska, or does Nebraska roll out and crush Colorado?
I'm going to go and say Colorado doesn't have the firepower to beat almost anybody this year. They were a one-trick pony last year. They blew the wad. I think that they plateaued, and they are not going to get any better. We might even see them decline this year. They were an overhyped team. As much as I like Coach Prime, he simply doesn't have all that it takes with the coaching and the team to be a contender every year. This year, we're going to see them I think, get a little stagnant, and they're going to struggle because they peaked last year with who they had. So I'm going to go with Nebraska. Even though Nebraska is only favored by 7, I'm going to say Nebraska could win by 14, maybe even 17 points on this one, and I'll take the over at 56.5.
All right. Our number 4 game, UTSA takes on the Texas State Bobcats. Does the Battle of I-35 go in Hunter's favor, or are the Roadrunners going to scream away with this one?
I don't know. This is going to be a fun one. I think that there's going to be few games this week that are going to be as evenly matched as this. So I'm eager to check this one out and see how well both teams do. I think that no matter what, it'll be a tense game, and I like those kinds of games because you never know who's going to win to the last moment. So no matter who wins, it's going to come down to the wire. But I will give the edge to Texas State on this. I think that they've got what it takes to pull it up by maybe a field goal late in the game.
All right, number 15, Tennessee travels to number 24, North Carolina State, the Wolfpack at 6:30 p.m. on ABC. Does Tennessee cover, or can the Wolfpack bring down the Volunteers?
No, they're not going to bring down the Volunteers. I think we talked about this game earlier, right? Yeah, Tennessee's got what it takes to win this one handily. They had such an impressive win last week. And they won 69-3. They have the offensive prowess that they need. And NC State, although they're going to do well this year, they're not going to hold a candle to Tennessee. I think Tennessee's going to beat them by far more than the 10-point spread on this one. And it'll be an over of 60.5. I wouldn't be surprised if they won by at least 2 touchdowns.
All right. And then in Cy-Hawk, Iowa State travels to Iowa. What you got?
I've got a close game on this one, just like the line says. This could go either way, and I think ultimately it's going to be a toss-up. It might come down to see who's better coached and who can simply execute the plays better, because both have pretty good offensive and defensive teams. So I'm going to say that Iowa State is going to upset Iowa, but not by much. They might win by a field goal, maybe a touchdown at the most. But it's going to take the whole game to decide that, and it's going to be a fairly low-scoring game. So I would take the over-under is 35.5, and I'm going to take a slight under on that one.
All right. Final game of the week, which will be the first game of the week. Well, the first big game of the week. Number 3, Texas travels to number 10, Michigan at 11 a.m. on Fox. Texas is a 7-point favorite. What you got?
I don't know who's going to stop Texas this year. I really like how they're stacked. They seem to have done a very good job in tightening the screws since last year, and their offseason has been very productive for them. The players are all on board with the program. The coaching staff is solid. Sarkisian is very bullish on the team. I think that they will do extremely well for themselves all year long. This week is no exception. They're going to beat Michigan by at least a touchdown, and I'll take the over of 42.5.
All righty. And that is the one, the only, the beast from the East, the assistant to the president of the Doug Flutie Fan Club, Lindsay Hoyle. All right, Hunter, you ready?
Always.
I know you don't want to cover 2 of these games, but we're gonna have to do it anyways. So
I hate covering Arkansas.
I know you wanted to talk more about Butch Jones and Arkansas State and their referee-handed game, but
they lost that game.
I'll give you an update real quick. You want a high school update? Bowie has scored another touchdown. They are now up 38-21 or 34-21. So Hunter's alma mater, with one of his friends coaching the offensive line and the offense, are taking a commanding lead. So good for them. Friend. Yeah. Well, I'm more friends with his dad than you are friends with him. But
happens.
He would know your name if he saw you, I think.
Maybe.
All right. The number 7 game of the week. The Razorbacks travel to the Cowboys. Does Arkansas stand a chance against Oak State?
Arkansas absolutely stands a chance, like any team does. I was very impressed with how they looked. Sure, they played a very bad FCS program in University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, but I was more impressed with how Oklahoma State dominated a reigning back-to-back national champion in South Dakota State, a team that had every ability to march into any house in college football in the FBS and pull off a win. But Oklahoma State dominated that game. But I don't think they dominated this game against Arkansas. I do, however, think that Ollie Gordon and Alan Bowman and Brendan Presley combined, put their offensive heads together. Mike Gundy puts it together, and he gets himself a big win, beating the Arkansas Razorbacks. I'm going to go with 31-24.
All right, and I know this guy is a huge. I don't know. I know you have a lot of respect for Mike Leach. So the Mike Leach Bowl here with Texas Tech, traveling to Washington State. Does Texas Tech win this thing, or does Washington State get a home win here?
Texas Tech needs to win this game. I don't think there's many need to wins in college football this week. There's probably a couple of them here in this top 7, and this is definitely one of them. Texas Tech absolutely has to go on to the Palouse and win this game, because if they lose after the performance against ACU, all the talk behind the scenes of what's going on, it could be if you're a Texas fan, it could be 2010. Like this, it's supposed to be this big season again, and it's a gigantic disappointment. Or 2019. I don't know that Washington State has the weapons necessary. Sure, they played their FCS opponent way better than Texas Tech did, but maybe ACU is just a really good team. I did also say before that game that ACU had this game circled. I think Texas Tech gets it done. They're more talented. Baron Morton's a really good quarterback. Washington State still kind of in that limbo. I think Texas Tech crosses the country, gets it done.
All right, and our 5th game of the week, Colorado is traveling to Nebraska. The old Big 8 matchup. Does Colorado do they have anything for Nebraska, or is Nebraska the black shirts back?
As long as Colorado has Shadur Sanders and Travis Hunter, they have a chance in most of the games they play. However, Jude was right in saying that Colorado will attempt 40 passes. However, they'll probably suffer 5 or 6 sacks if they try to do that. Travis Hunter, he can play 126 snaps when he's the fastest player on the field and no one's press covering him. You can't do that against Nebraska. Nebraska's far more talented than North Dakota State by a wide margin. And also, Nebraska is going to watch film of that game. You still can't stop the run very well. You only work through the deep pass. So if we could just sit here in 3 high, because Nebraska reels out an offense or a defense that Big 12 fans will know very well, the flyover defense. Nebraska's very capable.
Is this the John Heacock?
It's a similar defense to John Heacock at Iowa State's 3-3-5. And you'll see it this week. I'm sure Nebraska will wheel that out, makes it very hard to throw the ball deep. It forces teams to rely on a run game. Colorado's lack of discipline is going to be probably the source of why they will lose this game. And I think Dylan Raiola will have a chance to go out and say, hey, I'm the next great Nebraska quarterback, but I can actually throw instead of every other quarterback you've ever had. It's been a great, it's just ran the ball. Nebraska wins by at least 10 points.
All right. And then our number 4 game of the week, that old Battle of I-35. Do the Cats pull this one off? Do you want to pick this game?
Hope so.
God, I hope.
No, but God, I hope so.
I get that. I might have to hear this game the whole
5
time.
games, Texas State has never won. In a rivalry, you have to win. At some point, you have to win.
So is it not a rival? If they don't win, is it not a rivalry?
Just little brother and big brother at that point.
All right. And our number 3 game of the week, which I think is going to be a really good game, is number 15 Tennessee at number 24 North Carolina State. What you got?
North Carolina State did not look good against Western Carolina for a large majority of that game. Their offensive line struggled to block. Tennessee's looking at the game. James Pierce Jr. is looking at that game, man, thinking they're going to dominate. But this is Dave Doran's chance to pull off a big victory. It's in North Carolina, I believe. So it may be in Charlotte, but still, it's a lot closer to Raleigh than it is to
Knoxville.
So, I think Nico Imam, whatever his name is, wins the game there. He throws for a ton of yards. It's going to probably be a good high-scoring matchup for a good chunk of the game, but I think Tennessee pulls away and wins by at least a score, if not 14 points.
All right, I know you're going to call it by this name, El Assico.
Yes, that is his name.
Does Iowa State stand a chance against Iowa, or does Iowa bring the offense from last week and blow out Iowa State?
as long as Matt Campbell and John Heacock are coaching football in Iowa State, they stand a chance to beat Iowa every given season. But this is a team for Iowa State that I really believe in. I think Rocco Beck's really good. They didn't have a great show against North Dakota, but then again, that's the Matt Campbell special, just slow play the entire non-con schedule, except for this game. I mean, Iowa, their offense should be good, but I think Iowa State gets it done. I feel like they get it done. I feel like Rocco Beck leads the Cyclones there to victory.
All right, and then our final game of the week. I know you don't want to pick this one either. Does the number 3 Texas Longhorns travel to Ann Arbor and take down the Wolverines from Michigan?
I mean, what's on here in Pump, Texas? Michigan hasn't lost at home since they lost to Michigan State in 2021.
Yeah, but what happened after they lost to Michigan State? They hired a former captain in the Marines, Connor Stallions, to do their advanced scouting.
Yep. Fellow Marine officer Connor Stallions. I don't know how much I want to claim that relation there. I don't want to pick this game.
All
you
right.
can figure out who I want to win.
I know who Hunter wants to win, and I know who I want to win. And I'm going to talk about my top 7 right now, and that is Arkansas and Oak State. I'm going to pick the Cowboys because I would never pick Arkansas to win anything ever. So there you go. You'll never have to guess my feelings on Arkansas. I want them to lose every game they ever play. I don't care. Arkansas, lose. All right. In the Mike Leach Bowl, Texas Tech at Washington State. As much as I want to pick Washington State to win this game, I don't think they're as nearly as good as they were last year. I'm going to go with Tech on this one. In the battle, the number 5 game of the week, Colorado at Nebraska, I don't have any faith in Coach Prime. I think he's actually a detriment to the team. I think that they probably would be better with a different coach because they don't do the basics of football. They don't block, they don't tackle, and they do not run the football. They are terrible at running the football, and every time they get an opportunity to run the football, they run away from it and they start throwing the ball. I think it's a huge detriment to any team. I'm going to go with Nebraska because Matt Rule does the right things. UTSA and Texas State. I want Texas State to win this game just for the sanctity of the house. All right, because if not, I will have to hear yelling and screaming for the entire time. So for the sanctity of my sanity, I want Texas State to win this game by more than 1 point, by possibly 21 points. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think Texas State will win, but it'll be close, and my nerves will be shot. All right, in the number 3 game of the week, this is actually a game that we may get to sit down and just enjoy as a family. Watch this game. I think Tennessee blows out NC State at home. I really think Tennessee is going to have a good offense. They have a great offensive coordinator, and they got a lot of talent on this team. And they got a trigger man that can make it happen. And Joe Milton was not that guy. Iowa or whatever his name is, he's that guy. So I'm going to go with Tennessee on that one. In El Assico, I think Iowa wins this game. Somehow it's going to be like a 9-6 score, but Iowa won't score any touchdowns, and Iowa State will. I don't know. Anyways, and then finally in the big game of the week, Texas will come out victorious versus Michigan. That's who I'm cheering for. So, and that's what I hope for my sanity of the week. And that is our top 7 of the week. And now we're going to get to the worst segment in football, and that is the conclusion. Starting with our bold proclamations. And we're going to start with 1, Lindsay Coyle. Give us a bold proclamation. Give us a single game shout out, and then give us the game of the WEAK.
My bold. I was hoping to do a bold proclamation for this. I'll give you a season bold proclamation that Boston
bold
College.
Proclamation.
My bold proclamation for this year is that Boston College will be a 500 team.
Hey,
there.
Look, you didn't even know they've already played. All right.
All
right. Give me a single game shout out this week. Give me one game that you want to shout out.
The one I'm most excited to see is the Texas game, only because I want to see just how well they play against their opponent, and I'm dying to see them clicking on all cylinders, and I think they're going to be a fun team to watch, not just this week, but all year long. I hope they stay healthy because they got what it takes to go all the way this year for sure.
All right, give me the WEAK game of the week.
It's gonna be Coach Prime of Colorado. I mean, they're going to be the team that falls flattest all year long. And I think like what you alluded to earlier, what I was talking about earlier, they are not the team that they are hyped to be. They rode that wave last year. That is done now. And now they have to put up or shut up. And there's going to be a lot of shutting up.
All right, Jude, are you going to take that from Lindsay? Are you going to make a bold proclamation this week?
Bold proclamation is after jumping 10 spots in last week's poll, it will take the USC Trojans only 2 weeks to make the top 10.
Wow.
I like it. I like your confidence. And that means that my bold proclamation from last week was 100%. Now, give me a single game shout out that's not USC, Jude.
I'm going to go along with one of the top 7 games of the week, and I'm going to say Nebraska and Colorado. It's an exciting game that I am totally looking forward to see. A lot of the points that Hunter made were absolutely correct. It might have been Katz who said that, but there's no defense, there's no line play, there's no running game. So that's a game. Not only is it my game to watch that I'm excited to watch, but it's also, like Lindsay said, my game of the WEAK game of the week. Because these are two programs who used to be proud. Both are former national champions. And it's just been so long since either of them have accomplished anything. Nebraska's got a good coach now. I thought Colorado did because Coach Prime did such a good job at, where was he? Jackson State, I believe.
Yep.
And I want to see him do well because I'm a big fan of him. But I think it's two programs that used to be proud that just haven't lived up to what they've done in the past. So that's my bold proclamation, my game to watch, and my game of the week.
All right. That leads us to the next panelist to decide. All right. Let's hear your trio here, Hunter.
Well, my bold proclamation, I've already said it once, I'll say it again. I think that App State does what they do best, go into big teams' houses and win for some ungodly reason. They have that ability. The reason for that is because I think Clemson is really kind of, down on themselves. You look at all the talk around Clemson is, just negative, right? And they're a program that's ran on energy, on positive, stuff. That's what Dabo Swinney's been. And it just seems like it's a very negative place, a very negative mindset, especially at that loss to Georgia. I think App State can make it if it's a rock fight, it's a game that App State can absolutely win. Game of the
single game
to watch. Single game shout out is of course the Battle of the I-35 corridor. Two teams, one has a fan base, the other one has a bunch of people who, had to commute there to go get, a worthless degree. Because
you could say that about either school.
Texas State's a special place. The other one's in a parking lot. All right? If you've ever gone to San Marcos, you're like, oh, this is a college campus. This is where young people come to have a good time and go to school. You look at UTSA and go, oh, look, that's night school for people who have a full-time job. So anyway, if you're from San Antonio and you disagree with me, I just have to tell you, I'm sorry you live in San Antonio. Anyway. My game of the WEAK. There's a lot of games that could really fill this slot, but I think St. Francis, PA, an FCS squad who's not particularly any good, taking on Kent State, who's also not particularly any good, will be a particularly not any good game. However, Kent State will pull out the win.
All right. That is Hunter's bold proclamation. His conclusion. All right, and my conclusion, my bold proclamation is Marshall's going to go into Blacksburg, Virginia, and beat Tech 27-24. I think my single game shout out, I'm going to give a shout out to UAB. They're going to beat ULM. They're going to go 2-0 on the season. And Coach Dilfer's got things rolling there in Birmingham. And in my game of the WEAK, the 49ers, and that's the Charlotte 49ers, traveling to UNC. North Carolina doesn't have a quarterback. I don't know how the hell they're giving them 22 points or how they're getting 22 points. They don't have a quarterback. If you watch their quarterback's name, what is it, Hunter?
Connor Harrell.
Connor Stallions. He can't play. Connor Stallions might be better than Connor Harrell. Maybe I'm looking for a big week, too, from Connor Harrell, but that is my WEAK game of the week. And I want to say thank you to everybody out there for supporting us and our number one fan, Bocce. And yes, Bocce, that was a bocce ball earlier that Hunter was displaying. And that bocce ball will be traveling the world soon enough. My bocce ball will be here with me, and Jude's bocce ball is at home because Jude is on location. But next week he will be there. We will not be live next week. It'll be a recorded show. So look for us in the chat, and I promise you, Jude will be there this time in the chat on Thursday night. I might be there. I don't know. We're just gonna have to see what happens. Let's give some. Each one of us give some love on our way out the door. We'll start with Jude here.
Hey, good night, everybody. Thank you for watching. Everyone that was in the chat tonight, I apologize for not commenting because I am on location. I'm on my phone. But thank you guys all for watching. I appreciate it. And let me end this segment by saying, fight on. We are SC and V is for victory. You can't spell SEC without the letters S and C. Go Trojans.
All right, Boston College is his biggest fan who knew that their first game of the season was this week. Lizzie Hoyle. What's going on, Lizzie? You want to say
I'd like to thank everyone for joining the chat. Bill Beckett, Diabolical 58 was in here. Ken was in here. And of course, Bocce, thank you all for watching. Please keep doing so. And we'll see you all next week. And remember, you cannot spell college football without all the letters it takes to spell college football.
Touche.
Very well. Very well. All right. Order of closest and furthest, or order from furthest to closest to my heart. Go Navy, beat, I forget, Temple. That's it. Hook 'em Horns and eat 'em up Cats. I really hate San Antonio.
All right. That is going to wrap the show for the week. And let's give a round of applause to all the panelists who did so well this week. Expert picking, knowing how many games Georgia Tech has played. Great all the way around. It's been an excellent show this week. I had a lot of fun. We tried to get through this thing as fast as we could. We still couldn't get through it in normal time. So look for us next week in the chat, recorded show. And remember, the team that scores the most, the team that scores the most points always wins the game. Thanks for watching. And we're out.